Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a minute. I'm sorry. I'll explain. But as you can see, no belly. Obviously had my baby. I am 4 months postpartum and I wanted to make a video about my birth story. I made it on TikTok and then I ended up deleting them because it was like chaotic. It was in 4 parts and then 2 of them wouldn't upload and then they were like a mixed matched order. So I just deleted it, figured I would throw a video up on YouTube. Disclaimer, this is a chaotic birth story, but it is a positive birth story. There's nothing I would change about it. I'm very happy with how everything went. So if you're looking for birth stories, labor stories, and you're scared, this isn't going to be like a negative birth story. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. First, just want to point out that yes, I chopped all my hair off. I have a grabby baby, and then I'm starting to thin out my bangs because I don't know if you can tell. I don't even know what side it's on. I think maybe it's this side. I'm starting to lose hair from postpartum hair loss, and it is starting in my bangs. I'm getting bald spots. So over the years I made my line for my bangs like too far back, so I'm thinning them out. I think it'll look better. New mom do, so if I look different, that's why. But anyway, so let's backtrack it. The last video I uploaded was, I think, my 37-week bump date, and then nothing happened 38, 39 weeks. I did go in for an appointment at my OB, and they said that they were going to induce me, I think May 21st or 22nd if I didn't go on my own, and I was due May 13th, so that was a long time, almost 42 weeks. They said they'd let me go to 41 weeks and something days, I think 4 days. And I did not want to be induced, so I was really hoping he would come early. I was hoping he would come on his due date. I wanted my due date so bad so he can match me, but my due date rolled around and I felt no different, no changes. Everything was normal, not even any Braxton Hicks. But when I went to bed that night, I think it was around midnight, I started getting real crampy, and I couldn't tell if it was a contraction or a Braxton Hick because I never felt a contraction before, and Braxton Hicks were like kind of painful, but sometimes they weren't, so it was hit or miss. Bottom line, I didn't know what I was looking for. So I went to bed that night. I woke up like later in that night, like early morning, and I was in pain to the point where it woke me up and I couldn't sleep. So I laid there probably from like 1 to 5 with contractions. And then maybe, I think it was around 6, my husband was getting up for work, and I was timing them on an app at that point, and they were like, I think they were like 10 minutes apart. And I was like, hey, maybe you should stay home. I don't know what's happening, and I don't want to like not be able to reach you. And that was close. Like, we were supposed to go to the hospital when they got to like 5 minutes apart for an hour. So they were 10 minutes apart. I had them all night, so I was like, maybe you should stay home. So he did, and then I just laid in bed because I was in pain. They hurt. So what time was it? I think around 11. By 11 in the morning, they like slowed down again. They were like 15-20 minutes apart. So he came in to check on me. I was like, they slowed down a lot. And he was like, okay, do you care if I go into work? And I was like, no. So he went into work, and I said, just keep your phone on you in case anything changes. So that's what we did. And then I started to feel nauseous, like really, really nauseous. And I couldn't eat anything. And I bent down to do something, I think to pet the dog or pick something up, and it felt like he was going to fall out. He felt like he was going to fall out. I called my mom and I was like, I just bent down. It felt like he was going to fall out. I'm really sick. And then she was like, well, maybe you should call the doctor. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, I don't think he's been moving much today either. So I did call the doctor. I was like, I don't really remember feeling him much today. I got really sick all of a sudden and it felt like he was gonna fall out. They were like, okay, come in, get checked out. And this worried me because my hospital was like an hour away, so I didn't want to go and get sent home and come back again and then my water break or something and have to drive the hour back. So we were like very like weary about that. But something didn't feel right, so I called my husband. He came home and then we went, and that was around maybe 2. So we get there, we check into triage, and they take us back. And she's like, I'm gonna check you, just see where you are, if you dilated at all. Before this, I think I dilated like 1/2 centimeter, if that. And they never told me how effaced I was, so that's all I had. But they checked me, and she's like, you're having a baby within the hour. And I was like, what? I was expecting to go home. And she's like, you're 10 centimeters. You're having a baby within the hour. And before I knew it, I started bawling. My husband's like texting my mom or calling my mom. And then they're rushing me over to labor and delivery because I started flipping out that I wanted an epidural because as you've seen in my previous videos, I do not handle pain well at all. I was like, and I was 10 centimeters dilated. I was like, I'm getting an epidural. I don't care what any of you say. I'm not going through this natural. So they're flying me over to labor and delivery. And then when we got there, they're like, well, your last blood work, your platelets were low, so we have to do blood work to make sure you can even get it. And I was flipping out even more because I was like, I'm 10 centimeters dilated. If I'm having this baby within the hour, I need the epidural now. Like, I was stressed. So they did the blood work, and then they were like, oh, I don't know what happened. They didn't send this part of the lab out. And so we had to wait longer. Finally, the anesthesiologist came in. I got the epidural. Everything was fine. And by that point, I was great. But prior to this, I didn't really have many contractions. Like I said, they slowed down. So I wasn't like in pain or anything. And then I was laying there 10 centimeters dilated for like 2 hours and I was fine. I didn't have the urge to push or anything. So when they came in, I was like, did my water break? Like, I'm totally cool here. And they were like, I don't know, let me check you. So they checked me. I was only 3 centimeters dilated. They made a mistake. They made a mistake. The person in triage who checked me made a mistake, said I was 10 centimeters dilated. So I got rushed back and I got the epidural because I thought we were having this baby now. So I had to get it, and I was only 3 centimeters dilated, so I had to be induced. So you could say I was accidentally induced, what I like to say. And like I said before, I did not want induced, but this was actually so easy breezy. Like, I would not change anything about how this day went. Because like I said, I didn't have any like very painful contractions. So I completely missed that part. And then I went in there, got the epidural, got Pitocin all night, and then at 4:30 in the morning, I had him. So that was pretty much smooth for me. Like I said, it was chaotic at first and very like, I can't believe that happened. But I wouldn't change it. I would not change anything. I am so glad it happened the way it happened. But about the epidural did not work. I know I said I didn't feel contractions, and that's because I didn't. But it worked like in the stomach area, so I didn't feel the contractions, and I didn't feel my hips. I could move my legs and everything, which is, they said was normal. They said you're not going to go completely numb. But I could feel everything in the southern regions. Every time they checked me, I said, I feel every bit of that and I don't like it. Like, get the anesthesiologist back in here, like, fix it. So he came back in, he gave me like a higher dose of a different medication and said that that would work. It didn't. They kept doing, they had to like do the catheter since, I had the epidural, and they had to keep changing it and taking it out and stuff. And that made me throw up because I did not like that. I do not handle that sort of stuff well. I would throw up because I felt it. So I was like, listen, I don't want to feel this baby come out, no matter how many times they rotated me, like, and how many times I pressed that button to get more, and the other medication they gave me. I felt everything there. I felt the tears. I felt them come out. I felt them go back up. So epidural. And then a little fact about me, I was born with hip dysplasia. My hips were like out of place or something. I had to wear a harness. So when I was pushing and my legs were held back, I didn't feel my hips because they were numb. I like dislocated it or pulled one out. So when the epidural started wearing off, I was in agony. Like laying there I was scream crying. It hurt so bad. That was beyond awful. And like I had like, they had physical therapy come up and see me. They didn't do anything. They just asked me a couple questions, which was really stupid. They didn't even look at it or anything. But yeah, that was, the hip thing was traumatic. Overall, I've been saying this whole time that I was so petrified of birth and it was my biggest fear in the entire world. It wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. I don't think if I do get pregnant again, I don't think that birth is what I'm going to fear. It's like after birth and recovery and just like the common fears of something happening. After birth, I don't like I said, it sounds chaotic and it sounds like it was a negative experience, but it really wasn't. I'm very happy with how everything went out, even though they made a mistake. I enjoyed it, and birth was not bad at all for me. Like, it was painful, of course, because I felt it, but I don't know what I thought. I thought I was going to die or something. I don't know, but it was not anything like I expected. And I am excited that if I do get pregnant again, I don't have to be afraid of birth. And I possibly would not even get the epidural next time since I felt everything the first time. It was after birth. And I don't want to talk about that because I don't want to freak anybody out or scare anybody. I want this to be a positive video. But that was a little traumatic for me personally. And then recovery was just hard, obviously. But not that bad. But yeah, that was pretty much what happened. I feel like I'm going to edit that back and be like, I can't upload that because it sounds negative, but I promise you it was not. I would not change anything about that experience. Except maybe not hold my legs up in that position. I had a birth plan. I think I made a video on it. I'm going to make another video. No, I'm not. I'm just going to throw it in here. My birth plan. I made a video on it about everything I wanted. That birth plan did not even leave my hospital bag. All that work, all that research, all that time, and it did not even leave my hospital bag. I knew everything was going to change once I got there. Like, nothing goes according to plan. Like, it's not possible. But I had like preferences and stuff on there, and that didn't even leave my hospital bag. I just went with the flow, and honestly that was better. And I remember them while they were checking me or something. They were like, at least you're not one of them people that had like a crazy birth plan. And I looked at my husband and I was like, I definitely can't get it out now. So I didn't. Yeah. I have a few complaints about that hospital, but I really didn't really have a choice because the alternative is much worse. But I guess I can talk about that. That's not really my birth experience. It's the hospital. So the hospital did not, like, I wanted skin to skin, and they put him on me right after he was born. But then, like, I had like a traumatic like afterbirth, so my husband had to take him, and then so I think that was like a majority of what skin to skin we got. I don't remember if we did any in the in the postpartum room or not. I don't remember at all. I was in so much pain from my hip that I don't remember. They didn't show me how to breastfeed, and I should have researched that. Even if you think you know what you're doing, research it, because I thought you just put them on. That's not the case. I did that because they never showed me or told me what to do. So I just put him on because that's what I thought. And then like I messed myself up, like you can imagine. And then I had to take like 3 days, 4 days for it to heal. So we missed out on those crucial days of breastfeeding, and that really messed us up down the line. It messed my supply and everything. I didn't even get a supply until like a week and a half after I had him. And when I did, it really wasn't much. And we saw multiple lactation consultants. We saw multiple people about lip ties, tongue ties. He didn't have that. He didn't want to latch because he was used to the bottle at that point, because he wasn't getting anything from me and he had to work really hard, and the bottle you didn't. So we had just like a major issue there. And then we came across like really bad gas issues, and he seemed like he was in a lot of pain, so we went and got that checked, and they told me to eliminate dairy. So then the lactation consultant told me to stop breastfeeding for 2 weeks to let all the dairy exit my body. That's wrong. I know that now, and I know that for next time, but you're supposed to breastfeed through it. You're not supposed to stop. That will damage your supply. And it did. It was even worse than it was before. And then when we got back on to breastfeeding and he started latching a little bit better, I think it took him till like 2 months to actually like latch and breastfeed, and I was pumping. So I got my stash back up, but then I had a dairy slip and I stopped again because he was just miserable and I felt awful. So I just stopped again for 2 weeks, even though I knew better. But I couldn't watch him in pain like that. And then I just pumped and stashed it. And then we got back onto breastfeeding. It was just like an entire roller coaster. And I really wish I just would have done research on how to breastfeed. Or I really wish that they would have showed me like they were supposed to. I don't know. That was a big complaint. They didn't really explain anything to me about anything. They didn't help me with anything really. They just came in, checked on me, left. So that sucked. So yeah, I didn't really know what I was doing when I came home. I mean, for the like caring for him I did, but like I really wish that part would have went differently. And I didn't think to ask any questions because I didn't know until it was too late. And then I did ask questions, but like I didn't even know there was a lactation consultant there all the time. Like I didn't know that. They acted like I gave birth a million times before. So, but yeah, that was pretty much my birth story. Like I said, everybody has like a different experience, and somebody might think that that's a negative birth story because of how chaotic it was, but I promise you it was not. It was like I would have that again if I could in the future. I wouldn't change anything about that. It was scary, yeah, but I don't know. It is what it is. I think it's positive. Because they would have sent me home and we would have had to drive an hour home, possibly wait like another week and a half. And then what if my water broke during rush hour and like we couldn't get there in time? Like you just never know what the outcome would have been if it didn't go that way. So I'm really grateful that we were prepared and ready and not rushed, and we went in there to get checked out because everything felt off. I still don't know why it felt like he was going to fall out if I was only 3 centimeters. I don't know if it was him moving or what, but that was really weird. But other than that, I'm glad it happened the way it happened. So if you enjoyed this video or think it was interesting, please give it a like and comment down below anything. I look forward to reading comments. Follow me on all my other socials if you're not already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.